Tonight on Red Eye!
Coming up on Red Eye, what's a typical morning like for the world's most electrifying TV host? Inside Lou Dobbs' quest to bring the most awesome sport of snow kiting to the rest of the world. Plus, what did the president tell Joe Biden after he dropped his ice cream cone on the floor?
He said with certainty, Joey, it's going to be okay. I remember sitting on the end of the bed. He believed it.
And finally, is there a civil war brewing between cats and stuffed animals? Our panel of experts weighs in on this battle for feline supremacy. None of these stories on Red Eye tonight.
I'm Gavin McInnes, filling in for Greg Gutfeld. Let's welcome our guests. She was accused of rubbing Tiger Balm into her gloves when she fought Cassius Clay. Oops, wrong Sonny. I'm here tonight with Breitbart News contributor Sonny Johnson. Her looks can kill, so you're probably all dead right now, and she's not even sorry about that. It's the never sorry Joanne Nosachinski. Used to be the editor of a Swedish publication where they spelled Anne wrong. I believe it was called the IKEA Catalog. In for Andy Levy, it's Daily Beast columnist Michael Moynihan. And sitting right next to me, he has a $1 million smile and a multi-million-dollar bank account. It's sexy billionaire, Playboy superhero, Lou Dobbs, host of Lou Dobbs Tonight, weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox Business Network. He's also the author of a book called Upheaval, which is quite good, and I have read it and thoroughly enjoyed it.
A-Block, the lead. That's the first story.
You can't spell crisis without the Egyptian god Isis. It's true, Iraq has fallen back into chaos at the hands of al-Qaeda-linked a-holes with the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS, who have taken large swaths of the country and are now threatening Baghdad. On Friday, President Obama issued a statement on the situation. I wonder, will we be sending U.S. troops back into combat in Iraq?
We will not be sending U.S. troops back into combat in Iraq.
Okay, thanks. Have you asked your national security team to prepare a range of other options?
But I have asked my national security team to prepare a range of other options that could help support Iraq security forces, and I'll be reviewing those options in the days ahead.
Okay, got it. On Thursday, Jay Carney was still arguing that Iraq and decimating al-Qaeda are Obama's top accomplishments. The White House spokesman explained that al-Qaeda-linked groups like ISIS are different in this exchange with a reporter.
In decimating and destroying core al-Qaeda, when al-Qaeda-linked group is now in charge and control of major cities in the heart of Iraq?
Well, within your question, you have made the appropriate distinction, which is core Iraq, based in Afghanistan and Pakistan, has unquestionably been severely compromised and decimated.
Let's stop pronouncing al-Qaeda right. I feel like it's too reverent. It's al-Qaeda.
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 Yeah.
I'm not. It's like Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Let's stop saying it so accurately.
Yeah.
Iraq. When al-Qaeda invaded Iraq, we're not doing that anymore. No. Okay?
Okay.
Agreed?
I
defer.
Lou.
Yes.
I'm a bit of an isolationist. I don't like getting involved in these primitive countries.
Right.
But we've got, as Tammy Bruce said, a $700 million embassy there. They're using our Humvees to invade. We've got planes on the ground. Are we obligated to get in there and clean up this disgusting, pathetic
You may
mess?
have set a new standard and criteria by including a $700 million embassy. If you make that kind of physical investment in an embassy, then you're bound in perpetuity to defend that country,
Just money.
no matter how stupid and foolish it might be. I like it. I like that. It's a better set of options, I think, Mr. President, than the ones you're likely to get from the folks who are going to provide those to you in the days ahead, as you put it.
So when you take over in 2016,
you will
be invading. You will be getting into Iraq and messing with this mess.
One of the things that I made perhaps a premature judgment. I said back in 2001 when the towers went down that I would kill every single damn al-Qaeda terrorist, or Qaeda terrorists, if you prefer.
I do prefer.
And I don't see why it's taken us 14 years almost to not do that.
Let's just line them up in single file and kick their asses right now in the face, one by one.
That would be
that?
great. That would be great fun, great sport. But I was thinking of something more conclusive, more immediate, using smart bombs and that sort of thing.
Okay, that's a good plan. Mr. Moynihan,
Yes.
you know a lot about foreign policy.
I know a little bit about this stuff. I do. It is kind of strange that it's Gavin McInnes and Michael Moynihan are going to solve the Iraq crisis on television right now.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody else is doing it. Why don't we do it?
Let's
figure
give it a
out.
whirl.
Let's
try
give
it out.
a whirl.
Whose fault is this? Was this
Everybody's
George W. Bush for starting this, or is it Obama for the surge? Who can we blame?
Well, the surge was Bush. Well, let's blame all of them, actually, because
Okay.
it was. I mean, no Bush. There's none of. I wouldn't. This is none of this. Al Qaeda doesn't just kind of materialize out of thin air. I don't agree with the argument that, if there's no Bush, there's no Iraq, there's no Al Qaeda, there was no Iraq, and there was 9/11. So these people were out there beforehand.
Right.
The fact that they're marching along in through, occupying a number of cities in Iraq is obviously something that is kind of on Obama's watch. And how do you do this? The problem is, as an isolationist, I think you'd agree with this. The reason we haven't killed all of them is that there's a lot more being created in the time since 2003.
Oh.
That's kind of one of the core issues here.
There's the catch.
Yeah, like a lot of these guys are like 18, like they don't even remember 9/11. They're like, the kids. Like
That's
you see,
their
like the
Vietnam.
Kids, yeah, like
They
you
read
talk
about
to
it.
kids around here. You're like, oh, you're 20. Do you remember 9/11? There's like an Al Qaeda version of that too, that they don't remember 9/11, and they're got the masks on and they're blowing things up there. Is there any solution to this? No. I say we abandon the $700 million embassy.
There we go.
And
Just let it go.
And we'll just sell it to them, maybe.
Who are the cute guys with the eyeliner?
Those are Taliban guys.
Those are
Yeah.
Taliban?
Yes.
Who was the guy who
Yes.
who the Al Qaeda blew up with a fake camera? Masood dude.
Oh, yeah. Masood, who was a Northern Alliance leader, he was opposed to the Taliban.
They had I like their eye makeup.
Yeah, he looked like, he was in the New York Dolls.
That was a good look. Yeah.
he was
Very
the
drag queen.
bass player of the New York Dolls.
Jono, speaking of makeup, what do you say about this expression that's used down there where they say if it's not Sunni, it's Shiite?
Down there.
I say when in Rome.
Really? So you agree with that? You're pro-Sunni?
Like our president, I'm not actually going to give a definitive answer.
Thank God.
You know what actually I think he should do?
What?
Is since he gets all of his information from the media and from sources that are really not very reliable,
Yeah.
I think he should poll the audience, like any good reality TV show, as to what he should do. You can phone in or text a different number correlating to a different action.
Direct democracy. I love that.
Right?
I feel like the majority of Americans would say, let's cut our losses and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sonny? Should we just quit?
Well, it's not even to me. This is going to have to come to a resolution, and Obama is not going to be the one that resolves it. It's going to be Sunni or Shiite, and whoever wins Iraq, and however that country then splits up, and however the caliphate comes after that, they are going to be the ones that decide it. And I think that we need to be taking this time here at home and making sure that when they get all of their ducks in a row and they're ready to come after us again, that we are ready to punch them in the mouth and put them down permanently. So I think that that's where we need to make sure our focus is taking care of our veterans, making sure our military force is up and fighting, making sure we have the newest weapons, the newest technology, so when they are ready and they have their caliphate, we can show them American muscle and blow it up. But one thing that Obama really does is, he says, we have to come up with a plan to accommodate minority factions in a meaningful way. This is the executive order president talking about how minorities within the government need to be respected. Have you ever heard of a damn Tea Party?
He doesn't mean like Dominicans, though, by the way.
No,
he's talking
about the minority group within the country. Okay, so you have what you would call Republicans, Tea Partiers, minorities. Why don't you come and work with us? Why don't you try that here before you go and try to put that into somebody's other countries?
Well, he's doing that thing that the left does where they take their college education and they enforce it like a cookie cutter on the Middle East, on the third world, and they just assume we're all exactly the same. But this stupid, we have to help the Sunnis get their voice stuff is for college kids. It doesn't apply to a civil war.
Well, that's why there is a civil war. I mean, the thing is that the American military was very, very good in the surge and in the Sunni Triangle and the Anbar Awakening, and they pacified a lot of places. But if you pacify places and you don't actually have any sort of political solution, specifically with Sunnis and these people, I mean, the weirdest thing about it, we're on the side of the Iranians again. Yeah. During the Iran-Iraq War, we were on the side of the Iraqis.
Well, we're considering working.
It's just like that's all you need to know.
But in all fairness, we had told the Iranians that we were on the side of the Shia.
Yeah.
Of course, this gets a little more confounding when we realize we have a president to arbitrate all of this who has begun negotiations with the Taliban, while the Shia leader, al-Maliki, is working with Iran. So as you see the way he's got this worked out, solutions are simple. He's done it.
I think we all know what happened. Obama was looking in the mirror a few months ago, and he noticed how gray he's getting and how wizened he looks, and he just went, I'm getting too old for this. And he secretly quit in his head.
Well, and that's why he's going to Palm Springs this weekend.
Exactly. This is all, as Conan O'Brien put it, free-falling. He's just gliding. Okay. Are there stats short on facts? A gun control activist group released new data last week documenting 74 shootings at schools since Newtown. It's a shocking number, and it's wildly misleading. Journalist Charles C. Johnson took a closer look and found that their numbers include assaults, homicides, suicides, and accidental shootings that happen inside a school building or on school or campus grounds. The group, called Everytown for Gun Safety, isn't alone in trying to convince the public that gun violence is going up. On Tuesday, after the shooting at an Oregon school, President Obama made it seem like the U.S. is uniquely troubled by this violence.
We're the only developed country on earth where this happens. And it happens now once a week. And it's a one-day story. There's no place else like this. The country has to do some soul searching about this. This is becoming the norm.
Obama is my mom. Like she sends me little pictures of dead children, and she'll actually dig up some guy who died in World War II and go, he was 17 years old. And he died in France. No one knew what he was. And you're like, Mom, why are you don't even know the real story. This guy has not Googled it.
No, he has to go home. Chicago. Dude, it happens every weekend in the town that you call home. Not one. Okay, you're talking 26 people shot in a weekend, 4 killed, and you're talking about we're the only developed country in the world that has this problem. No, your progressive cities have this problem. You and your little gun grabbers
that's the irony
and gun
of this
controllers.
statement. There has been that many shootings, but they're not some random nut going into a school. They're gangbangers.
Yeah.
So he accidentally uncovered the gang violence problem, which is surely not what he's going for.
No, you know they already kicked the gangbangers out of school, so they're not talking about that in the context, but they don't want you to look at, they want you to see, oh, look at the little innocent kids, and you don't have any fear coming from the kids. If they make it about the gang members, then you want to go get a gun because you see them with one, and you want to be able to protect yourself. So that's why they don't want to bring it up, and they don't want to put those statistics in there, but I'm really... It just perplexes me how in your hometown that you claim that you love so much and built you into who you are letting people die week after week after week.
But wait a minute. I want to inject gang statistics into this.
Yes.
And I want to get a gun.
The numbers would dramatically go higher if you did that. But they refused to do it. It was strengthened their point.
Maybe 6 or 7 of these were real school shootings. A lot of them were turf wars and drug wars that happened to be students or happened to be someone near a school. It was gang-related. We're on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Well, I had a school, and right across from where I lived when I was growing up, it was a housing project right across from the school. And they used to literally shoot from the housing projects at the school and back from the school at the housing projects. Like, literally. And where was it then? Where was the voices then? It's no voices then.
So
they're dying in Chicago.
Hold on. We have to make it clear.
It's terrible.
Sonny Johnson, we should mention this to people at home, is a vampire, and she's talking about the Wild West in the year 1836.
No, I grew up in Richmond, Virginia.
This happened, what, 200 years ago?
No, this happened. Well, I ain't going to tell you my age. Nice try, though.
I think that maybe, so in terms of the statistics with like all these school shootings that are happening, it seems like a lot because of the media coverage. It's more the glorification of these shootings really than the issue that's really being covered. For example, and I think that it keeps happening because we keep showing it on TV. So we don't cover teenage suicides, really. Media really doesn't do that because then what happens, it's been proven that more kids will then commit suicide after seeing it on the front page of the newspaper.
Right, well, they do the subway too. They don't tell you when someone jumps in front of the subway.
But how is this any different? You keep showing this school shooting, and a lot of times that ends in suicide as well, and somehow that seems to be okay. We are doing this to ourselves.
Well, Father's Day is approaching, and Lou is the most patriarchal figure at the table.
Thank you.
What do we do, Lou?
For Father's Day?
No, to end gun violence in America.
I think that we declare Father's Day all year long, and maybe ask Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, to start insist upon him being honest about why 300 to 500 kids a year are getting killed by guns in his city, as we listen to the claptrap hectoring and lecturing from a president who knows that what he's saying is patently untrue. We don't have to get too involved in the media impact and its proselytizing of violence by guns, because the tone that he is setting is one of a lack of integrity. The reality doesn't matter to this president.
It sounds like he never Googled it.
If he did Google it, I don't think he would retain it for any sort of governance purpose.
In his speech, once a week, a maniac is going into a school of children with an AK-47 and just spraying people.
Think about this. We can't show anywhere else that this president has demonstrated great concern. If you want to talk, Mr. President, about young people dying with guns, then simply turn to your FBI and take a look at the statistics that show they're actually going down in this country. More people have died in his hometown of Chicago, to Sonny's point, than in mass shootings in the United States for the entire year.
The only time I see it going up is Fast and Furious when they get involved.
Yeah.
Mr. Moynihan, does more guns equal less crime?
You have to ask John Watt about that. He wrote the book, not me. But there's a couple of things about what the president said that are true. One thing is true. This doesn't really happen in any other industrialized countries. That is true.
Wait, what doesn't happen? Murders?
The level of gun violence is unparalleled in the United States. We have to acknowledge that first.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's true.
More than Central America, more than Mexico?
Well,
no.
he specified in first world industrialized countries.
In Wimptown, Europe.
We're talking about, this doesn't happen in
wait a minute. In Europe, they wear those little Puma shoes that look like ballerina slippers, and they have blonde tufts in their hair, and they wear those soccer things. Why are they in statistics?
I really think that you just hit upon the solution.
Yeah. They're beyond beta males. They're androgynous.
It is erasure records is the solution to this.
Is what you're saying.
No, I mean, look.
They still rave in their 40s.
No, it is essentially like a libertarian argument, too, to acknowledge that and point out that it is a cultural problem in a way. I've always said, like when I lived in Sweden, if you took a crate of loaded handguns and just put them in the center of Stockholm and there were 100 guns, at the end of the day, there'd be 100 loaded handguns at police precincts. People saying, oh, we found this. This is very scary. In America, they're like, oh, we're going to probably sell this, make some money, probably shoot some. There is a cultural difference in the U.S. So I don't think that no matter how much you legislate this stuff, you can't legislate away the cultural difference. How does one solve that? Nobody can figure it out, but Lou's point is right. Lou's point is right about the declining violence. I mean, there are big shootings, of course. There are the Newtown and stuff, and I think that should be plastered on the news.
Well, Europeans are too weak to know that guns are awesome. That's why they would not do that. And they're
also true.
Look at their jeans. They wear acid-wash jeans.
Yeah, and they're not being ironic about it.
The True Religion, I believe, is the brand.
No, but there's been a declining amount of gun violence here, and a lot of that has to do with drug war stuff and the end of the crack epidemic and things like that.
Do you think anybody's going to ask, when did it get this bad? And how, and why do we seem to always come up so poorly in these comparisons? I mean, we're the folks, who are in control of our culture.
I'm going to get to that, Lou. It's called the fatherhood. Coming up, the fall of Rome. Time is a circle, my friends. But first, a special Father's Day report from the best dad in the world, the G. It's Father's Day on Sunday. I have thoughts on fatherhood in a new segment. All right, that's enough. We let you make fun of fatherhood because we can take it on the chin, and it appeared to amuse everyone. The dad from Married with Children is selling shoes, and he's miserable, and that's good for a laugh. All right, fine. Wait a minute. He's selling shoes. He's supporting his family. He's putting up with his wife that he doesn't even appear to like very much. You know what's important than anything? Dads sticking around. You can be the laziest, most boring, dirt-poor dad in the universe, and statistically, we're learning those kids are much better off than the super billionaire single mom. Sorry, New York Times. Families matter. What started as a ridiculous joke making fun of a father's lack of understanding of pop culture has transmogrified into something more sinister. We have trivialized the role of the father to the point of worthlessness. Well, I have some bad news for you, America. The family isn't just an important part of American culture. It is American culture. It's Western culture, for crying out loud. By virtually every metric imaginable, the children of single parents are more likely to be forgotten, abused, uneducated, and imprisoned. This is especially true in the black community, where fatherlessness hovers around 75%. So dads, let's stop taking it on the chin and start bitching. Our kids need us, our wife needs us, and our country needs us. And you know what? We need them too. Happy Father's Day, hombres. We did it! The problem with being a father and ranting like that is you get so emotionally invested that it's hard to wind down after.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes you forget about your kids.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I just feel terrible after that.
I got so into that I forgot about.
My daughter will be imprisoned in like 6 months because I'm so horrible at this.
Sonny, your dad was around your whole life. Would you link that to your success?
Well, I would credit him and my mother, so I'm not going to give one more than the other, but I did learn some specific things from my dad. My dad made sure gun safety was very important to my dad. So when I was about 7 years old, he brought me in and they had killed this deer, they had removed the head, and he was hanging up, and he's like, this is what a gun does. It kills, it's final. You don't come back. There are no apologies. There is no I wish I could do it over. It is final and it is done. And that's how I began to learn about gun safety. So, you know, a lot of who I am did come from my father, and that is one of the most special things that I carry with me now. And the reason I'm such a good shot today is because of my dad. So that's one of the things that he gave me that I'll always carry with me for the rest of my life.
Few people talk about that, and the New York Times and the New York liberals think that it has to be locked here, and the bullets have to be in a separate container that also has to be locked. When you grow up with guns and you see what they do, they can be on a rack by the front door.
And
you just go, those are the
them.
blowing up deer machines.
Yes.
What's the matter? You don't agree?
No, I thought we finished the gun story. I thought we were talking about dads now.
No, but this is
that was a
lessons
very
fathers
important lesson from my
impart.
father.
Okay, all right.
Can't wait to hear your story.
Were your parents around? What was your story?
Yeah, they were around. They didn't like me very much, but they were around. My dad smoked Lucky Strikes, and it was really annoying because I tried to steal them, and they were too harsh. That was the lesson he taught me, was that smoking Lucky Strikes are really, really bad for you.
So this is a father's rule.
He gave me
blowing up stuff, murdering animals, and coughing on cigarettes.
My dad had type 1 diabetes, and he gave that to me too. So
thanks a lot, jerk.
Thanks, Dad. You know,
Buddy passed on his DNA.
Up there, but thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. No, it was great that he was around. He was a good guy. I'm more concerned about me not being so good at it now with my dog, because I have a 3-year-old.
That's perfectly natural. We all feel inefficient, but all you have to do is show up.
Really? That's it? Like even if I'm drinking?
Yes. I'm drunk 24 hours a day.
I know, but you're a good dad.
It actually makes you better, because you'll be sitting with your son going, why were they picking on Slimer? He's just eating. It's just a ghost trying to eat, and then blasting him with rays and putting him in a box.
I do want to point out, Gavin, that you caused an enormous amount of controversy. I believe the whole nation convulsed when you had a video of you punching a baby, or pretending to, and you were denounced.
Never punched a baby. I strangled my baby.
You strangled your baby, but you were denounced nationwide on various blogs that are very, very big ones
Yeah,
but
that was ignoring the whole subject of baby abuse, the scratchings they do on their parents.
You brought a huge
they will
issue.
hit you.
Yeah, no one discussed that.
Lou,
You were reciprocating.
I was defending myself, trying to stay alive.
And I.
They'll cut your
I support
eyeball. Your actual eyeball, not your eyelid. The actual.
They go right
As a
for it.
father, there are sacrifices that we're called upon to make. You suggested that it was a little easier than I think it really turns out to be.
I've just had enough of saying, "Oh, I hit my head on the kitchen cupboard."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I got
No,
it.
I was hit by a baby.
and presumably one you fathered.
Yes.
And that you should be proud. That
I
kind
guess
of
I'm
thing.
proud that he's tough.
Yeah, definitely.
Jono, how important is a dad to the family, to America?
I think very important, especially a dad that watches Fox News, always on the TV growing up. And so my dad now, as I'm watching the shows in the green rooms, whatever, he is the perfect combination of Bill O'Reilly and Ambassador Bolton.
Oh, dear.
He has the mustache.
So
he's
that
got
is
a
He's an
little
angry,
lip.
smart guy
Absolutely
who
terrifying.
hates
But-
rap.
But I was always
He hates rap, and he is
terrified of my dad a
currently
little bit.
bombing Qatar,
Yeah.
right, or Qatar.
No, it's great. But now that I'm a father of two wonderful
father?
little girls, I like to be there for them.
You've done a great job.
I think that fathers being trivialized is the root of all American problems, but I could talk about that all night. Coming up, a family that goes too far with their Weekend at Bernie's reenactment. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Tonight's C-Block is sponsored by the You Make a Difference machine. It's a verbal pat on the back. Just press play and you'll be reassured of your self-righteousness with phrases like, "The world is better because of you," and "You can single-handedly stop hate." Thanks, You Make a Difference machine. I know you'll thank me too.
Having a laugh led to a mayor's wrath. Jim Ardis, mayor of Peoria, Illinois, didn't appreciate a parody Twitter account that portrayed him as an enthusiast of booze, drugs, and strippers. The account, at Peoria Mayor, featured tweets like, "I'm thinking it's a tequila and stripper night," and "I'm about to climb the Civic Center and do some lines on the roof. Who's in?" Under a law that makes it illegal to falsely portray a government official, the mayor subpoenaed Twitter and Comcast to trace the account back to a guy named John Daniel. Cops raided his house and confiscated some iPhones and computers, but in the end, Daniel wasn't arrested. Now, Daniel, seen here, is suing the mayor and others for violating his First and Fourth Amendment rights. Meanwhile, Ardis, who's threatening a countersuit for defamation, gave a reading of some of the parody account's horrible tweets.
"I'm thinking it's a tequila and stripper night." Quote, "Gonna be up at a local bar wolfing down some wings. Come check me out. I'll be signing t-." Quote, "Two things to get off my chest. If you don't like Peoria and you want to sit here and then leave. And two, who stole my crack pipe?"
That guy's amazing.
So horrible.
That is the worst performance I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was not very convincing. When you're emoting like that, you got to get into the character.
He was trying to seem appalled. That
You
was his appalled
can't
voice.
do both. You
No.
can't seem appalled and play a party
I thought
mayor.
he carried the quote thing perfectly.
Yeah, quote.
We understood it was not his original.
Yeah, I'm not just
thought.
saying this.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's not just me.
I'm not
right?
having a press conference
Yeah.
to go do some lines if anyone's interested.
Yeah, on the roof.
I don't have that kind of power. I'm not willing to use my power to that extent.
Yeah, I won't be signing today.
Isn't it true that politicians deserve separate rights and anyone who makes fun of them should have their house raided?
It's really very true that this mayor in particular, I think, needs this education. And I would love to see the same kind of sense of righteous indignation on all politicians. Anyone who runs for office in America deserves at least one of these days, at least a year.
Yes.
To remind them who the hell they are.
It should be
which
illegal.
ain't much.
Well, we've heard Obama rail against Fox, Sonny, and say that they hurt his
Against
feelings. Fox News.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Obama doesn't like the way he's discussed on this network.
That's terrible.
Should we just stop making fun of politicians?
No, we need to realize that you get the politician that you vote for. So Peoria, you need to check your mayor and see who you voted for. But federal government, this is why we have a problem with wireless wiretaps. This is why, because it only takes one of you to get your feelings or your panties in a bunch than to use your power to exude the limits of what it was getting.
Are you implying that he wears women's underwear?
I'm pretty sure that was a tweet that he read after the ones that we saw. I'm pretty sure it was there, and I'm probably sure they're pink with ruffles and feathery things all over
him. His genitalia come around either side of that?
That's actually
no,
really good.
I heard
they don't
he
have the surface area.
I heard he has the tuck and maneuver conquer. So he got that. But seriously, see, this is so funny.
Gavin was just saying he has big balls.
This is the reason we don't want the government collecting all of our information and just having it. Because it only takes one a-hole to get offended, get his panties in a bunch, and then use the entire force of government to come after one individual because you don't like that person.
I totally agree. I used to roll my eyes when liberals were mad at the NSA for reading their emails and mad at this face recognition software. But then you think, you guys are so incompetent, I wouldn't be surprised if you kicked down my front door for listening to Pink Floyd.
No.
Well, this guy on Twitter, though, John Daniels, he had 50 followers. I don't know why Jim Martis is getting so upset, which makes me wonder, why are you getting so upset? Does this hit a little too close to home? Because, again, 50 followers, I don't even know how he found out about this guy with only the 50 followers, unless he just constantly sits there and Googles himself.
By the way, what's wrong with inviting strangers to do free cocaine and also offering to perform a signature on someone's bosom?
This isn't Canada.
Nothing. I don't care if it's Saskatoon or if it's Peoria.
Thank you.
That is amazing. And he should be saluted for it. But the weird thing about this, he didn't get arrested. But his roommate did. Did you notice that?
Was right, yeah.
Because they went in there like, we just happened to find like 7 big bags of weed. And the guy gets arrested and goes to jail. And ultimately it's because of a very sensitive mayor.
Worst roommate ever.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
This is the problem with government power. Everything is illegal. If they kick down your door for making a Coke joke, they're going to find something wrong with, if not you, your roommate.
Yeah.
We're all going to be in jail soon.
Law specifically, I think your point, to protect politicians and elected officials probably need to be reconsidered, thrown out as a beginning point. But the other part is this libertarian view about there's no role for government. I love the fact that the NSA is trying to keep up with Microsoft and Google and Facebook in spying on us and getting our secret information, our private information. And I love the outrage about the NSA, which frankly isn't as competent as those technology companies in acquiring that information, and yet you'll see people clucking everywhere. Oh, the NSA has intruded on us.
Well, isn't it ironic?
You don't have to use Google. You don't have to do. I restrict myself as much as possible from doing a lot of these searches on these sites for that exact reason. And it's not for me being crazy or being insane or anything like that. It's just that I understand that it's happening. And as an individual American citizen, I have the right to say I am not going to put everything about myself into a Google search engine.
Well, we've learned
Google
from
won't know
Obama's
it.
speeches he clearly doesn't use Google.
Just quickly to Lou's point, and Sonny using ColecoVision or whatever to make sure that nobody's following her. Lou, by the way, invited the NSA to. He said, "I'm happy there is a guy in Virginia right now looking through your stuff." Just so you know,
and that's fine because it doesn't change my stuff.
But just
there.
Just in one point, libertarian point is it is essentially the point that Elizabeth Warren makes, and I think it's a tiny bit of a straw man because. It's not that there's no role for government at all. That there's not a role
Have
for
I just
a big...
been conjoined?
No. Yes, you did. You did.
You're a conjoined Native American.
Yes.
You're 1/25th Cherokee.
Your
now.
Volvo is double parked out front, full of tote bags. So it's not. Look, the thing is, it's not that we don't see any. That's anarchism. But a libertarian idea is that not too much government and not too much power for government.
Well, isn't it ironic that Obama's talking about how dangerous guns are and how we have to get these guns out of the streets and guns, and then when politicians get guns, they're breaking down the front doors of Twitter guys who said, "I'm doing lines upstairs." I mean, you're the guys who shouldn't have any guns.
It's more about power than anything because the police force told the mayor, I don't think there's any laws that be broken. You need to like calm down your own feelings. And they continue to push.
They continue to do it.
It is the power issue. It's not the point of you having it. It's you taking upon yourself to enforce it with federal government power. That is the problem.
Too true, Sonny. Coming up, marijuana. Smoke if you got 'em. I believe it's smoke 'em if you got 'em, but that's also a fun colloquialism we can use. And your state allows it. Obey the law, people. He went through hell and forgot how to spell. Bo Bergdahl has arrived back in the U.S., but we're getting a look at his state of mind while in captivity, and it ain't pretty. The Daily Beast obtained 2 letters he allegedly sent to his parents from prison in 2012 and 2013, in which he offers some insight into why he left his position in Afghanistan. The military is still withholding judgment as to whether or not he violated the rules of law, but one thing's for certain, he violated the rules of grammar and spelling. Bergdahl wrote, "The circumstance from the beginning of my time in Afghanistan, from immediate top to bottom, were bad for troopers, especially in my platoon." He added, leadership was lacking, if not non-existent. The conditions were bad and looked to be getting worse for the men that were actually the ones risking their lives from attack. He got better as he went on. He also cautioned against jumping to conclusions. If this letter makes it to the USA, tell those involved in that investigation that there are more sides to the situation. Plus, tell DC to wait for evidence to come in. What's really incredible about this is that when some people are drunk, they will write drunk. Usually, you don't slur as you type.
I have to say, I've never seen language quite that drunk. And worse, I found myself as you read it, and part of it, of course, because of your terrific diction and expression, I found myself starting to agree with Bergdahl, at least on some of the the
Why are you giving up on phonetics, by the way? Yeah. S is a great letter for
exactly.
Why'd you jump over to C?
I mean, there trips me up too. Yeah. You know, the E before the I and which there. But I might be the only one who thought this as I was reading, or I just watch way too many movies with weird plots. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if he actually wrote these letters. It almost seems like a translator or someone was being told what to write by someone and was writing it down and doesn't know how to spell those hard words in English very well. And then when you look at the actual papers, between the 2 letters, I'm surprised that no handwriting analyst has been called yet, because very different handwriting. From like a stylized is one, and then the other looks like a child wrote it. So I don't know what happens when you're in isolation for that long or what mental capacities go, but this seems a little odd to me.
Moynihan, hit it.
I'm going to have the heterodox view here and say, you know, when you're in Waziristan for 6 years, you might, maybe, there was the report that
situation, C-E-T.
You know, I'm going to cut him, like, I'm not cutting him any slack on walking away from his post, but, you know, the spelling after being, you know, in a Taliban prison
when you're in isolation for that long, who knows?
Come on. I mean, just maybe his spelling wasn't so hot to begin with, and then he was just hanging out with the Taliban for a little bit.
Sonny, is this guy a moron, a deserter, a piece of human garbage, or a waste of time?
I kind of believe in that when you put something out to the universe, you get it back. So maybe that's what happened, that he put out, that he you know, wasn't happy with his unit, he wasn't happy with everything, and then he got a different unit, and it wasn't as nice as the one that he left.
Should we take that for granted, Lou? Is what we're hearing true, or is this? I can't decide if this is incompetence or a part of a bigger scheme.
I know only this. One, the U.S. Coast Guard said that they threw him out for psychological reasons. The Army would have had privileged access to that file. The Foreign Legion would not accept him for unspecified reasons. All of that would have been normally a clue to the United States Army not to bring Mr. Bergdahl into their service. I think that's where the issue begins, and until we resolve that, I would say the writing is a suggestion that at least some of that was valid.
I feel that we're giving the authorities too much credit, and when we start thinking this is all part of a greater scheme, if we could see through a crystal ball the people who made these decisions, we'd see a guy going. Is that a booger or an ingrown hair?
Yeah. Well, I think that when it comes to explaining first why they even brought him into the service, I mean, that jumps to me everything.
Nobody's paying
And
attention.
the military,
Someone had a dream.
they love their,
Yeah, do it.
military love their brothers, and none of his brothers are running to him.
And
that
that's
should
rare.
tell you
That's very
what
rare.
you need
Yes.
to know about
True
Bird
story.
Dog.
Coming up, a cop in a bathroom. It's a story, not the start of a bad joke.
E-Block. Last story. That's the last story.
They made their mama into a diorama. A New Orleans family turned their mother's funeral into a party this week by staging her body with all the things she loved in life. Miriam Meme Burbank's daughters convinced the funeral home to pose her at a table along with her favorite things: Busch beer, menthol cigarettes, crossword puzzles, disco balls, and New Orleans Saints souvenirs. They say she was full of life and wanted the family's last moments with her to be just as lively. Busch beer is awesome, by the way, but you don't drink it in a wine glass.
That was a chalice.
Sonny, I saw a thing on BuzzFeed recently. It said 35 things white people need to stop doing right now. Is it possible that maybe black people should stop having parties with cadavers?
No, I think this. Okay, wait. I think this is freaking awesome. Okay, when I die, I don't want people sitting around saying, "Oh, she was such a nice person," and she. No, I wasn't. I want everybody sitting around drinking alcohol, saying, "You remember when she cussed me out because I asked her for money and I didn't give it back." See, that's what I remember, the real
But
me.
do you want?
That's the real her. If she was here, she would be out on the dance floor like.
Can I ask though? But do you, like everything you said makes total sense. But do you want your dead body there too, while everyone's saying like, "Oh, she was great"?
We're not using it.
We should do it in the studio, just in this chair.
If I can still fit into a dress that you know I would love, then put the body there too. Just celebrate it. If you were miserable and you hated life,
I think though
then
there's
be
a
by
line
yourself.
that can be crossed. What if May grew up in a naked home and she just loved sitting around drinking her bush naked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they going to put the naked dead body there?
Well, I mean, you're really asking us to believe that those are the only things that May love. I'm not entirely convinced.
Well, Japanese people will drink by the cadaver for 4 days, staring at it. The Irish do that for 4 days.
Yeah.
I want people to cry at mine. There better be big tears.
Big tears.
Yeah.
But you know what you don't realize because you're watching the clip of it is that they also allowed like news cameras to come in.
Oh yeah.
and shoot the whole
So they're
thing.
proud of it. What would we do for yours, Mike? What would you like?
You know, it's actually really funny because it would be exactly that.
Oh, wow. You love- I knew you-
I
I've
love
seen you drink
crossword
Busch.
puzzles. I love Busch beer. I love menthols.
And you're getting a weave tomorrow.
And I love the Saints.
Thank you to Sonny Johnson, Joanne, Michael Moynihan, and Lou Dobbs. That does it for me. I'm Gavin McInnes. Goodbye, friends.